The men in their 50s are probably one of the most insufferable demographics of men out there. These men are unhappy, financially stunted, mentally stunted, emotionally stunted, and still operating as if they are in their 20s. There's a lot of discord right now with younger women dating significantly older men because they think that these men have it together. They think that these men are mature. They think that these men are financially secure, and they think that these men are able to provide them with a life that a much younger man may not be able to do. And that is, in fact, not the case.
Okay.
Most of these men that are in their 50s and they're looking to date significantly younger women is because they are not together enough to even date the women that are in their age demographic. So they go after these younger women to ultimately steal the youth of these women. These men are bitter, they are controlling, they are manipulative, and they are extremely unhappy with their lives. Most of them have not put in the work. They don't have a career. Most of them don't have a home. Most of them don't have the finances. And a lot of them are stuck in their ways and jealous of these women who have their whole future ahead of them.
Nah. I think that some of these women gotta just be kind of jealous of the younger women. Gotta be younger because I know for a fact that most men, and I'm speaking like data, statistics. This ain't my opinion. This ain't none of that. We're going to get to my opinion in a second. And I always like to give credit to the content creators. So regardless of whether I agree with it or not, the link is going to be back in the description for y'all to be able to talk. You know what I'm saying? Go and subscribe to her, go check her out or whatever. And shout out to y'all for continuing to send me these videos of this content so that I can actually have this conversation honestly with you guys. I'm going to have this conversation honestly. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, teach Henley 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. Most of the men in their 50s and their 60s, and this is statistically speaking, most men don't get into the apex of their earning potential until they're in their late 50s, early 60s. Meaning that you will never earn, on average, more than you ever have in your life until you in your late 50s, early 60s, according to data and statistics. And that is universal across white men, black men, Asian men, across the board. You are in the apex. Now, of course, you're going to have, some anomalies that blow it out the water, and you're going to have some people that absolutely fall by the wayside. But generally, when you compile all of men into one big group, you don't reach the apex of your earnings until you're in your late 50s, early 60s. That is a fact. That is not my opinion. That's just definitively what it is. So she's wrong on that. Now, let's get into opinion and life experiences because I always like to separate the two so that I can have a conversation with you guys and better explain to you why women feel this way and why sometimes they are confused. Now, I believe personally that this is just the men that she's used to dealing with. When she says insufferable, what that translates to me is that men are unwilling to deal with the attitude of women that are older because they are stuck in their ways. So anytime you hear this, and it doesn't mean that men are a monolith, so there could be some truth to it and it can be applicable to some men. But for most guys, you are more together in your 50s and your 40s than you ever have been in your life. All of the men that I am associated with, and I am a 42-year-old man, and I am very successful in my life. That is not applicable at all. It really is just the circles that you surround yourself with and the people that you surround yourself with. Most men that I know that are in their 40s and their 50s and even in their 60s, they're better off than ever before. They're financially free. They usually don't have any debt. If they don't have any women that's attached to them, meaning that they're not married or in a relationship, often at times they have their homes paid off, they're comfortable, their cars be paid off, and they don't even push themselves when it comes to being visible or being outside. They just comfortable in their own skin. And so as a result, they then have the ability to choose who they want to entertain. There has never been a better time in life to be a man, let alone a black man, unless you're in your 40s and 50s and 60s. That is the golden age. I know that people say 20s and 30s, but usually when you're in your 20s, especially if you're doing things the right way, You still trying to figure it out. You may be broke in your early 20s because you're just now going to college, you're getting to college. You may have a little bit of debt. You may have to try to figure some things out. You know what I'm saying? You got some ups and downs. You may go broke because you took some risks and stuff like that. By the time that you hit your 30s, that's when you start to really start to put things together. And if you stick around long enough and you actually focus throughout your 30s, that's going to be the growth phase. That's going to be the phase. And this is for you younger guys, because I know that y'all think that life is you want to stay in your 20s or whatever, so on and so forth. That's cool. I'm never going back to my 20s. I'm never going back to my 30s. And it wasn't that my 20s and my 30s wasn't awesome. It was absolutely awesome, right? I had some ups and downs in my 20s. My 30s was absolutely phenomenal. And 40, man, life is great. You know, we sit courtside at the games. We travel where we want to go. We have zero debt. House is paid off. Daughter is 17 about to be going on 18 soon. And so she got her car. She's doing well. Her college is already funded and paid for. We doing some great things. We got bigger goals and bigger opportunities. And that is every guy. And I usually, for the most part, only hang with outside of the guys that I mentor. I only hang out with guys, really mostly women, but the guys that I do know that I'm associated with, they're in the same space. They're in the same boat. And some of us single, and some of us is married, and some of us is just in a relationship and situationships, and some of us is just comfortable. And every guy I know is blissfully happy. Blissfully happy. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have conversations about what's out here and we're not situationally aware of what the nature of most women are. And I will tell you this, most women that are our age cannot attract the great men that are our age. And that is a fact. That is real talk, real spill. When you get to a certain age and you get a certain bag and a certain swag and you fully developed into who it is that you are, man, the world is your oyster. And when I say the world, I'm talking about locally, nationally, and internationally. You can have and do anything you want. The question is, what do you want and what lifestyle do you choose to have? If you are not under the duress of child support, if you are not under the duress of some chick that is unruly that's around you or something like that, if you are in a space to where you've made the sacrifices earlier in your life to where you basically bearing the fruits of it today, you have the world as your oyster. And what we are experiencing is a disposition amongst women that are our age that is not meeting the expectation. The fact of the matter is, most women at our age are heavier than us. They weigh more than us. They're unhealthy. They unhappy. Their edges is starting to recede because they so stressed out about the fact that they got to come out here and compete like us, but they don't have the endurance that we have because we built for it and they not. They then lean into their degrees. I see a lot of women that are older that have an insurmountable amount of debt and they become lifetime students so that they don't have to pay back that debt while their credit is still messed up. I see a lot of women that's getting foreclosed on and they have to compete with women that are younger than them to get the men that they want. And that is the thing that they are bitter about. They going to sit there and call you insufferable. I guarantee you, right here, right now, I can go out and throw a pebble and get anything I want if I wanted it. It's the fact of the matter is I exercise dick discipline because I know that that's not the ideal thing for me. I am wise enough. I am situationally aware enough to understand what's for me and what's not for me. Women are bitter. They are angry because you can trade that 50 in and get 225s. And them 225s is going to have a better attitude. They're going to look better. They're going to walk better. Their knees ain't going to hurt. And they could take the whole thing. And that's just the fact of the matter. Now, me personally, I don't have an affinity for younger women. That's not my thing. It's never been my thing. I'm cool. I'm straight. I don't have an attraction. I prefer to be around women that are my age, but they still have to be beautiful and they still have to be awesome. The flip side of it is I know that it's most dudes that don't want to deal with the attitudes of women that are stuck in their age. And it's not that they can't have them. It's not that they can't attract them. Women at 50, they'll take a dead body that's breathing. They'll take a dead body that's breathing. That's how desperate they've become. And they sit there and say, oh my God, you know what isn't it? They turn into each other, they scissor kicking because they cannot attract the man that they want. And so usually they'll settle for a dusty because they passed up on the guy that they were supposed to be married to, or they friends on the guy that they were supposed to be married to, and he wound up evolving and become awesome. This is the real of what's really happening here. And again, what she says could have some truth to it because it doesn't mean that the men that she's used to seeing or operating around or experiencing there is a demographic of guys out there that never outgrow their youth and their childhood. Then they are dusty and they may be a little bit broke and they still out here acting like Future without no money. And that's the way that they move. But there's a strong majority of guys that do not have children out of wedlock. They out here getting it. They running up a bag and they don't have a whole lot of student loan debt and they are living their best life. And now that they have the option to do what they want to do, it seems like women that's their age that they unwilling to deal with, they don't want to deal with it. Now, I'm not encouraging you to go out there and get a significantly younger woman because, again, that's not my thing, and I would never encourage people to do things that I wouldn't do. But I can't say that I'm against it because if the woman is 25, 26, 27 years old and she going with a real one and she outcompeted the one that's older than her, what do you think that I'm going to tell a guy? Y'all let me know what y'all think inside of the chat. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, Teach Hanley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off of life. I love you. I appreciate you. Can't wait to hear you got to say that. Can't wait to hear what y'all got to say about this one.